about the cell tower. It's a good cell tower.
It's the cell tower.
Yeah.
It's the Eagle Scout project.
Yeah.
It's not the cell tower?
It's our workshop agenda. Oh, okay.
Do you have a presentation going over here?
Good evening. It is Monday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. and I call the Maple Plains City Council meeting to order. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I am looking for a motion to adopt this evening's agenda.
So moved?
Moved by Cahill,
Second?
second by DeLuca. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of adopting the agenda as is, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Next item of business this evening is City Council appointment. So I'm going to turn that over to Clarissa.
Thank you, Mayor. We will be swearing in our new City Council appointee. We had interviews last Monday, and Council is recommending the appointment of Connie Francis. So I will do the swearing in. Repeat after me. Okay. All right, I, Connie Francis,
I, Connie Francis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and will faithfully discharge the duties
and will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of council member of the City of Maple Plains
of the office of council member of the City of Maple Plain
in the County of Hennepin and the State of Minnesota,
in the County of Hennepin and the State of Minnesota,
to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God.
Congratulations, Connie, and thank you for having the courage to apply and the willingness to serve and to say yes. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item of business this evening is visitors to be heard. Did you get some?
They are filling them out.
Oh,
I
okay.
guess we'll bring them up.
So at this time, visitors will be heard. You're invited to come to the podium. Make sure you speak into the microphone, please. Please tell us your name and your address and keep it to 3 minutes.
I will try to keep it to 3 minutes. My name is Denise Sweet. I'm at 4919 Independence Street. I'm here representing quite a bit of people. I have a petition to have our sod replaced. I understand that you guys had a workshop before this meeting. I was given some notes for a participant that was here. I have pictures of a lot of the sod that is full of weeds. It wasn't replaced right. It was shade sod that was installed that should not have been installed. And we would like to petition the city to replace that sod or let us replace it ourselves, and we will send the bill to you guys. So if you guys want, I have emails, I have correspondence from people, I have a petition with almost 20 names on it, and I have pictures if you guys would like to see them.
Thank
Yeah.
you for your search, if you'll pass those on.
And I would like my documentation back, so if you guys want copies, I can email it to you, but I'd like my documentation back.
Should we just have her email them then?
Yeah, would you email them to our city administrator, Clarissa, so then she can share them with all of us so we don't break open meeting law?
Yep, and I mean, there is quite a few people here that this is the same thing that we're all sitting here for. And it is a big problem. This street is your guys' street as well. You guys all drive down this street, all your residents drive down this street to come to your city offices, and to see it, it is ridiculous that it has gone this long. And I have multiple emails from multiple different people that will send them to me, proof that we have been complaining about this for years. It's been 2 years we've been complaining about this. And we have documentation from the people that installed it, that it was shade grass that was installed. We have documentation that it was watered and watered and watered. You can look at our bills, our water bills that went up those months. So it's a little bit ridiculous that this is on your guys' road, that people come down to the city and have to see that. So I'll send all the documentation to you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here. And as Denise already alluded to, this topic was on our workshop agenda earlier this evening at 5:30, and as a council, direction was given to staff to look into different options, and it will come back for further discussion. So we are well aware of the situation, and thank you for coming forward tonight and being present. Any other visitors to be heard this evening?
Can I just ask a question, please?
If you come to the podium and state your name and address, yes, you may.
My name is Jim Brown, 1718 Howard Avenue. Okay, we've discussed this. Are we going to be notified if anything's going to get done? Because I want my lawn back. I don't like looking at my lawn every day in the shape that it's in.
Yeah.
I mean, we can have meetings after meetings after meetings, but is anything going to get done?
We are looking into doing something.
Okay.
I cannot make any promises at
Okay.
this time.
So
It
would
will be
would
on an agenda, and all of our meetings are open, and you're welcome to come, and we
So-
can send out our agenda to
So for
you.
me to push this along faster, should I get it done by professional contractor and send you the bill? Or am I going to be waiting 2 more years for something to get done?
Again, I cannot make a promise on a timeline. I don't know
Okay.
if staff
All right.
can speak.
Everybody happy with that?
No, I'm not. I have something else to say to you. So I also it was brought to my attention that you guys are not happy with the sod that was put in up at the Veterans Memorial, and that there could potentially be that when you get that done, you might get ours done too. So you guys aren't happy with the Veterans Memorial sod or whatever was laid up there. Is that not something that was discussed in the workshop today? Clarissa?
May I
As you
respond?
shake your head?
I think that was kind of a misunderstanding of that conversation, that it was actually the flip. So it was, if we're looking at doing your project, we should contemplate whether we need to add some seed to Veterans Memorial. So it
Right, but
was
you're not
the-
happy with what was done over there.
Not me personally. I mean, I'm.
Well, you probably could care less, but
Thank you.
there's other people that probably do. But that's, I mean, if you're doing something about it, you're obviously, that was brought up, like, oh, if you guys are gonna do it over here, maybe we should contract out for that at the same time. So there's something wrong with the Veterans Memorial as well.
We had damage to the grounds when the playground equipment was moved in.
Okay. And it wasn't fixed when the playground equipment was moved in. But that was brought up, that you guys want something done over there as well.
We did not make that decision. We were talking about.
You didn't make
if-
the decision, but it was talked about. I didn't say you made a decision, I said it was talked about.
Yes, it
Yes.
was.
That's what I thought.
And that'll probably be fixed first.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Okay. Any other visitors to be heard? Okay, next item of business is the consent agenda this evening, which includes city council meeting minutes, Eagle Scout project, and council committee appointments. Looking
I
for-
move to approve the consent agenda.
Moved by Cahill,
Second?
second by Fay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The consent agenda is approved, 5-0. Next item of business is a public hearing regarding the street reconstruction bonds, and I'm going to turn that over for.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, Todd Hagan
Todd.
is here from Ehlers to give a quick update on that.
Great. Thank you, Clarissa and Mayor, council members. Todd Hagan from Ehlers and Associates, your municipal advisor. So we were here on April 25th, presenting the pre-sale report for the street reconstruction projects and a couple utility projects as well. So to gain issuance authority to issue the street reconstruction part of this, we need to go through a public hearing process on a street reconstruction, more of a financing plan. So we did use the maps and descriptions from the feasibility report that your engineer had prepared. And this really just sort of, again, is a financing plan, not necessarily a capital improvement plan or any kind of feasibility report that an engineer would present. We're not issuing bonds tonight. That comes later on June 27th, but we need to kind of go through this process and give the public an opportunity to hear the public if they have any comments or questions on this financing plan. So in front of the council, we do have also a resolution that you would consider after the public hearing and to kind of move us forward. But right now, we're actually considering preliminary approval for the issuance of general obligation street reconstruction plan bonds in the amount not to exceed $900,000. And then the city to adopt the street reconstruction plan in connection with the various streets that are in the plan, and that's been on file with the city since publication of the hearing. So again, attached, you folks have the plan prepared by staff and Ellers and the engineer. It really is for the construction of various bituminous mill and overlay projects, things that we don't special assess in the city. So again, have to go through this process. And the plan again contains the project description, the required findings of the council. And so if you have any questions for me, I'm here. Otherwise, at the end of the hearing, then you can approve the resolution. You can approve it at a lesser amount. You can deny approval. You can table the action. Again, we're not issuing bonds tonight. It's just another process that we need to go through in order to do that at the end of June. So I'm here for questions too. If anybody has any, I will sit down maybe.
Looks like Clarissa has something to
Yes.
say.
Just to clarify, so the $900,000 is only for the street project. The entire bond issuance is whatever that was that we talked
1.38
about
or
it.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
1.38, right. There's a sewer component and a water component, and this is the mill and overlay part is
Which
all. Yep.
was a question I had is, but tonight we're only doing the not to exceed $900,000 and the plan review, or the
Yep.
authorizing the plan, the
The reconstruction.
The reconstruction plan, yep.
Just those two
Just a
things.
couple items,
That's all
yep.
we're doing.
Yep, correct.
Any other questions for Todd?
I do have a comment, and I don't know if it's, but just for clarification, in Bolton and Manx narrative, as well as your first page of your document, you refer to Three Oaks Avenue as Three Oaks Drive, and it carries over in your document and carries over to
Yeah.
the engineer's document. It's Three Oaks Avenue. It's probably just a typo, technical, but I mean, let's get it on the books
Record.
as Three Oaks Avenue.
Avenue, correct. We'll change that, correct. Thank you for that.
So with that, I am looking for a motion to open the street reconstruction bond public hearing.
So moved.
Moved by DeLuca,
Second.
second by Cahill. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, opposed? The public hearing is open. The public hearing is open if anyone would like to speak. The street reconstruction bond public hearing is open. If anyone would like to speak? And one last time, if anyone would like to speak. All right, hearing none, I am looking for a motion to close the public hearing.
We close the public hearing.
Moved by DeLuca,
Second?
second by Cahill. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The public hearing is closed at 7:13. At this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve the resolution to approve the issuance of general obligation street reconstruction plan bonds and adopting the Maple Plains Street Reconstruction Plan.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Fay,
I'll second that.
second by DeLuca. Any further discussion or questions for staff? Okay, this is a roll call vote to approve a resolution, the issuance of general obligation street reconstruction plan bonds and adopting the Maple Plains Street Reconstruction Plan. So it will be done by roll call.
Faye?
Aye.
Francis?
Aye.
Cahill?
Aye.
Moskowski?
Aye.
DeLuca?
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it, 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Todd, for being here tonight and for walking us through that again. Next item of business this evening is accounts payable. Any questions for staff? Okay,
Move to approve accounts payable.
motion by Cahill to approve accounts payable. Looking for a second?
Second.
Second by Francis. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor of approving accounts payable as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All of our staff reports have been submitted and are in the packet. We've received reports from our planner, West Hennepin Public Safety, our city engineer, Public Works People Service, our fire department, and administration and finance. Looking for a motion to receive all of those reports this evening.
I'll make a motion to receive A through F.
Motion by Fay. Looking for a second.
Second?
Second by Cahill. All in favor of receiving the staff reports as submitted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. And I apologize. I think we may need to go back. I forgot to do the motion on the fire partnership. You need separate, right, for accounts payable? I
Thank
just
you.
did accounts payable.
I can make it work. But I
Okay.
also, as you said that, we need a motion to appoint Connie. We didn't actually do
Oh.
a motion. We just appointed her.
We just swore her in. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna go way back. I am looking for a motion to appoint Connie Francis as council member for the remainder of 2022.
So
Is
moved.
that- Moved by Cahill,
Second.
second by DeLuca. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of appointing Connie Francis, signify by
Aye.
saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
I
same
guess we're in
sign.
again.
Like, whoops. Details. That's why we learn it. We're all learning. All right. Okay, now I'm completely lost. All right, we're gonna start with our new business this evening. Number 11, we're looking at conditional use permit amendment for Iron Exchange, 1500 Howard Avenue, and I'm gonna turn that over to staff, and I see the applicant is here as well.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council. This item's coming before you after being considered at the Planning Commission meeting earlier this month. There it is. It's a request for a conditional use permit and site plan review to allow the expansion of the outdoor area associated with the Iron Exchange located at 1500 Howard Avenue. So the applicant, Iron Exchange, Maple Plain Gateway LLC, the owner, requested that the city consider amending the existing conditional use permit, and with all commercial conditional use permits, the city conducts a site plan review to allow the expansion of the outdoor outdoor use area associated with the Iron Exchange Brewery located on the subject property. The property itself is zoned mixed-use gateway. It's guided by the city's comprehensive plan as mixed use. And the overall acreage of this particular site, that includes all of that, 3.2 acres. The applicant leases a space within that multi-tenant building and operates the Iron Exchange Restaurant Brewing Company, or brew pub. And there is currently an outdoor seating area associated with that brew pub. When the city approved the conditional use for that use, we limited the outdoor seating area or the outdoor use of that area to exactly what was prescribed on the approved site plan, and we said any expansion would need to be reviewed and considered by the city. So the applicant, their representative actually approached the city about the possibility of expanding. And just given the nature of the conditional use and given that there was some concerns presented at the original hearings relating to that, we thought it was just the most prudent to come through the city, allow for public process, and just process it as an amendment to the conditional use. And so what the applicant has proposed is an expansion of the area that is just to the west of the building. What they would like to do, or what they describe the project as, is the side yard project, which involves new landscaping, fencing, seasonal gas fire pit. The use of the side yard would be to provide green space and outdoor games such as bag toss for guests. Outdoor seating would be limited to the existing patio only, and they noted that they've shown a potential future pergola structure just to the west of the existing overhang structure that currently covers the outdoor seating area that's there. And so with that, the city went through the plans, had several comments that we made. I've talked to the applicant's architect a number of times, and then we brought this through Planning Commission and held a public hearing at Planning Commission. Planning commissioners reviewed the request and held a public hearing, had more discussion. I'll try to summarize kind of the request and then what the planning commissioners' comments were and then their recommendation. The request is to expand the outdoor area, which would mean installing a opaque fence along the north property line, along that back drive aisle, installing a low berm, about a 3-foot high berm along the western property line along Howard, and then a row of landscape evergreens essentially, and then landscaping the corner of Gateway Boulevard and this site, and then the kind of southern boundary of that outdoor area. They are proposing a gas fire pit be installed along with a crushed granite type surfacing material to try to provide a walkway and just some more outdoor area. And then they've shown that there would be kind of a small seating berm located in that open space area, along with a place where you could do outdoor kind of yard games, if you will. There would be, there's no proposed lighting associated with this. There's no proposed sound or increase in sound, and there's no proposed kind of ongoing activities as it relates to kind of special or larger event activities. This is really for the customers who are already at the Restaurant Brew Pub to be able to utilize some more outdoor space. And so with that, planning commissioners discussed the request. One of the big things that was discussed was, would this increase the number of people coming to the facility, and then therefore would that increase the need for more parking? And in our discussion, our review of the plan, the intent is to not add additional serviced seating areas. They would utilize the existing concrete patio with seating as it is. They would then just expand kind of your outdoor space options, but also providing a nicer space, given that there's roads and a drive aisle on 3 sides. This would soften that. It would provide a more protected and I think a better ambiance, if you will, for people that are already at the facility. Is it possible that somebody can come in and grab a drink and then stand outside or go sit at the fire pit? Yes, and that would potentially increase. But during the Planning Commission's discussion, during staff level review, we thought if the seating service area, if you will, was not expanded, that we would not need to consider an increase in the parking. We also noted that we think parking has been working well for that facility, and until such time as we would understand and know what the other lease space that's vacant could become, we don't see that there is any kind of a parking issue on the site now. So, but with that, Planning Commission did recommend that the area be limited to that red square that's in the packet. It's not going to show very well here, which is just their existing seating area. Commissioners also discussed the proposed fencing along the north property line and recommended that both for security and safety of the people inside the outdoor use area, kids or things like that might be out there playing the games or running around, that fencing be increased to cover the west property line along boundary and also the south property line, so that the space is fully enclosed. We had talked about with that fencing, just something like a 4-foot tall ornamental metal or something that's opaque. It doesn't need to, or that has opacity, that allows visibility through it. But they had recommended that fencing all the way around be provided, noting that that north property line is protected by a wooden type fence that would be opaque. It would not allow visibility through to the north. Commissioners also discussed landscaping that's required as a part of the initial approval along Gateway Boulevard. Commissioners recommended that the city add a condition to this approval that requires that landscaping to be installed. I did have a conversation with the owner's representative, and he noted that the owner of the restaurant and the owner of the shopping or strip mall are not the same people, and the requirement for the landscaping on Gateway was the responsibility of the owner of the retail of the whole mall. And Planning Commission also discussed that, but still recommended that this be a condition, putting kind of extra weight on the owner to make sure that they get this done, because that was a condition of the original approval and it has not been completed at this time. And then with the landscaping that was discussed, commissioners noted, and this was a staff note, in the northwest corner of the outdoor seating area where the sidewalk would connect to the back drive aisle, there's a site triangle visibility issue right in this location. And we noted that we'd like to cut that corner off so that if you're on the sidewalk and there's a service vehicle or otherwise coming from that back area, that the pedestrians are able to be seen and see those vehicles. And then commissioners discussed potential for music, outdoor sound. It was noted no speakers are there currently, and there would be no speakers added to this space. Commissioners also talked about the types of uses permitted in the outdoor area, noting that they were okay with the idea of yard games and quote-unquote yard games, but they would not want to see things like a volleyball league or something else that has maybe a higher intensity and or that would draw people to the facility that don't otherwise come to the facility, which then goes back to kind of that parking issue where we could get people that aren't associated, but also just from, a noise and a activity level and things like that, they wanted to understand that the types of uses that would be permitted as a part of this review were just the yard games. We tried to define that better in the condition of approval. And so you see the condition with language that speaks to the intent of that approval. Obviously, we can't capture every type of game in that, but we tried to illustrate what types of games, what kind of use we're talking about. Ultimately, with that, commissioners thought it was a great way to kind of increase the use area for that facility, noting that it's got a great following and a lot of people like going there, and this would be a nice kind of a welcome environment and an improvement to that otherwise kind of underutilized space on the west side of the shopping center. And they recommended approval to the city council with the conditions noted in the resolution and also in the report that we prepared. So with that, I can see Todd back there and be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff or the owner?
I don't have any questions. I was at the planning, but I just want to note that I think it's a wonderful enhancement to that plot of land, and I think they have a great plan here. I think it'll work out well.
Thank you for that feedback.
I concur. I don't, there's been nothing that Mr. Murley or his team has done that has cut any corners. It's a beautiful addition to the city, and it'll be an additional contribution to the city. If it's not in the plans now, to avoid future city staff time and applicant expense, I would like to see that the pergola concept is included in the CUP so that he doesn't have to come back should he wish to do it. I mean, you can put a sunset provision on it, say, if it's not done in 3 years or something like that, you'll have to seek, reapproval. But I mean, I think let's just get it done.
I'm not.
I-
Do you want to
Go
finish your
ahead.
thought? Well, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with that. I want to be very careful not to step on planning commission's toes.
They were fine with it. If it's
Okay,
not in
'cause I was
my
like-
language, I appreciate that. It should be. It should note that,
You got a little gray in it.
yeah,
I didn't follow.
I put it in the report and I don't know that I carried it down.
Okay.
And I did mention at planning commission that unless somebody had an objection, I think it's appropriate, given that what they're proposing isn't gonna
So they're on
increase
board.
anything.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, just
Yeah,
because they do
so-
so much
Yeah.
research and legwork, I don't want to approve something
So I
without
need to
them
go back
first.
to the resolution, just look. If I didn't capture it, I should have, because I agree with you, and I think that is a good idea, because I
For
don't think
sure.
anybody had an
Right.
issue. So what I would do is just add, I would add, conditional use permit will be amended. The applicant shall complete all improvements to building site landscaping as indicated on the approved site plans and revised landscape plans attached here to as Exhibit B. And I would say, the city will allow the future installation of the pergola in accordance with the plans, with these same plans.
Well, and
without
of course, that the pergola
city
will
council
be,
approval.
the plan will be reviewed by the building inspector, so I mean, it'll follow code and everything else, so we don't have to worry about.
Yeah,
That
if the council's comfortable, I'll craft exactly, but it will say that the future pergola will be allowed at the discretion of the applicant, subject to applicable permitting of the city, something like that.
And then
I'm fine with that, since it was discussed at
Yeah,
planning. Does
okay.
anyone else have any concerns regarding that issue? The pergola?
And
Okay,
you-
we're all in agreement with that then, Mark?
Yeah, that's a good catch.
You mentioned that no building or outdoor lighting is shown on the proposed plans, not in the plans, but there is a rendering that shows some canopy lighting. And so, and instead of having to come back for a lighting plan, could we at least could we just at least allow, if off the pergola or off the canopy, that if the applicant would care to add that type of lighting? Because I don't think we have to worry about cuts.
So, right now, there's twinkle lights out there, right? I call them
Yeah.
twinkle lights.
Say there's lights.
And we talked about that a little bit. Those are not lights that we would
Yeah.
regulate, right? So
Yeah.
they won't. If the applicant came back and wanted to mount some canopy light and it was compliant with our ordinance, they would not need to come back. So I
Perfect.
suggest that if they do lighting, it just needs to be reviewed and approved, meaning it needs to meet our ordinance. So they would not have to come back. If they were gonna come back and light up a volleyball court,
Yeah.
different deal.
But string lights, I don't think are objectionable, are
No,
they?
it's the lights they have out there, and if
Already
they wanna
there.
add them to the
Yeah.
perimeter of the fence, not a problem.
Okay.
Yeah. The technical term twinkle lights is what
Works
we
for me.
noted at planning commission and said that those would not be regulated.
I love it.
Yeah.
We don't want to micromanage. Any other questions for staff or the owner?
So can I say a few?
If you'd come to the podium and
Come to the
introduce
podium.
yourself to everyone and
So
for
I-
the viewing
yeah,
audience.
Todd Murley, you need my address?
You can just be a
1500 Howard
business
Avenue,
owner.
that's the business,
Perfect.
okay. I think I can shed a little light on the pergola. So what we were planning on doing, and why we did it as a future pergola, was everything is so backed up still with COVID. So we started the process and we found out we aren't gonna be able to get material or whatever until, but the pergola is gonna be identical to the one that's there, same size, same everything. It's gonna be built off those posts there, but it's gonna be a little lower. And the reason being is, we have like this huge problem with that sun going down in the west, and it's just blinding. So, we have some screens on that initial pergola, but we're looking for a little more shade for people sitting under on the patio. So, that'll buy us a little more, shade. So anyway, that's the pergola issue. And the lighting, there are a couple things. You mentioned the berm, Mark.
Yeah.
And we took some stuff out of the plan, and I think it didn't. So we just decided to go with absolutely no lighting because when people are, frankly, we're pretty much empty by 10 o'clock. So it's not like during the summer hours when this thing's gonna be used the most, like, we don't need to light it out there, right? It's more of a, and there will be, if people wanna sit around the fire pit or whatever, you know, that would throw off enough light. So there's, no intention of adding any lights, especially like spotlights or anything like that. And then I wanted to speak about the two kind of conditions or, so the first one being, me kind of being responsible for the owner of the building to landscape the parking lot. I feel that has nothing at all to do with this project, and I don't think it should be tied to me. I mean, I worked a long time to just be able to rent this space from him, so I don't know. I just feel it shouldn't be a caveat for me. I mean, then what, if it still does, if the parking lot still doesn't get landscaped, I can't do this project? I mean, is that kind of what it is?
That's,
I mean,
that's the condition that was proposed, yeah.
Right, and I don't see the logic. I mean, I have nothing to do with whatever was decided before. That was or before my time, so I'm like, I feel these are like mutually exclusive events, and I don't think they should be tied together. And the last thing I think was the fence. So I'm not a fence guy at all, right? So our initial plan was to, and I believe that the city ordinance regulations does not require a fence for alcohol. It's like a boundary, or is that the term?
Yeah.
So we worked with my architect to try to, you know, get, I guess, the most scenic kind of thing without having to put a fence. We ended up on that north side doing a fence because that's where all our employees park. So we figured, okay, let's just totally kind of shut that off. People don't need to be looking at cars. But for the other, you know, where people are kind of sitting, viewing, we wanted to just have them look at natural stuff. So I guess if there's a fence requirement, I would not do both. I mean, if you guys are saying you need a fence here, then I don't think I'd spend all that money on the landscaping either, because like right now fencing is ridiculous too. So to me, I think it should be an either or, because we designed it where this hedge is almost like a fence. It's not, I mean, if you're gonna try to sneak through there, you're gonna get pretty scratched up by whatever. So that's what we considered, yeah, that's kind of a fence, right? The other thing too is those trees, the evergreens are another kind of shade barrier. I think those are like 12 feet high or something like that when they're planted, and I think they might get 15 to 18. I might be wrong on that. But then again, with the 3-foot berm, that's kind of another deterrent for people to go through there. So I'm looking at it as an either or. I just don't want to, you know, I don't know if it doubles my cost, but it certainly makes that price tag much higher to do both. So
When you say both, are you talking a north fence and a south fence?
Well, no, the
landscaping fence.
Yeah, Mark said, you know, around, so the north fence is fine, right, according to Planning Commission?
Yeah, that was fine.
And they wanted to see a fence around, or the west side and the south side?
Yeah, I mean, the conversation that planning had, why they brought it up, was people running out, people running out into Howard, or people coming into the outdoor space to hang out without having to go through the front door and drinking a beer.
Right.
If you're 16.
So I mean, I think.
That was the conversation, right?
Yeah. So I think I just covered that, where I think that will form a barrier. I guess I'm saying, if you want to do, if you're saying, yeah, we'll approve it, but you have to put a fence in with this plan, then I think I want to go back to the drawing board, and because I certainly don't want to spend all that money on landscaping and still have a fence in there too. So it's like, if you want the fence, then it's gonna look like a fence without the landscaping, I think.
How much discussion did Planning Commission have about the fence
landscaping combination.
I mean, it was significant, but I don't know that it was the main
Yeah.
concern.
Yeah, it was definitely, I mean, more so on the west property line than on the south, right? I mean, but then again, it was also, it was kind of a two-way conversation on the fence. It was keeping kids from going out into the, like, just, you know, I don't know, chasing a ball through the trees and then, you know, they're in the street, nobody sees them, and then the vice versa, people coming in not, that are supposed to, somebody's
But
supposed to.
but to me, if that is like super important, shouldn't that be a city regulation or rule or whatever? Because it's not right now, so that's why we specifically designed it like this, feeling we covered the boundary or the barrier kind of thing without having to put a fence in.
Mayor, could this get sent back to Planning Commission for more discussion about the fence? Get their input, since it wasn't seen to be a major focus.
Yeah, what was your timeline for this?
Last week? No, I don't.
That's what I was afraid of.
I mean, yeah, right now, it's, I mean, we probably won't realistically be able to get a landscaper in before July, so, yeah, I mean, we have a little time, but.
Yeah. I mean, 3 of you were at the planning commission, but you don't have a feel.
I mean, there was, so, you know, one of our commissioners is a landscape architect. And so he was concerned that the trees that were chosen would not be close enough to create a barrier, I think. And so that's why the fence was suggested. But, and so if you feel like that it would create that solid barrier, I think it could be different. But he felt there was going to be gaps in between. Those
Especially
trees.
initially, first 5 years
Yeah.
or so. I mean, you know, those are six foot
8 feet apart.
junipers.
Yeah.
And they're 6 feet apart, so they're gonna go in at, you know, 3-foot diameter, which is gonna leave a couple feet in between them to start.
Right.
And so
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know that. I know the intent is to have that like a hedge kind of thing, right?
Right,
Where you cannot
right.
just go straight through. So is that a matter of,
It might be a matter of if you could increase the number. I mean, it doesn't create the physical barrier, a 4-foot fence doesn't keep a 16-year-old kid from jumping either, right? I mean, it's just, it was that kind of immediate, but we don't have a requirement that says it has to be, right? So this is something that we came up with, Planning Commission did, and they suggested it just be closed off as an outdoor space, but.
Well, and even right now, nothing's stopping the 16-year-old from walking onto the patio
Correct.
at any of
And we have
our
other facilities
restaurants.
that's the same case, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
you
look
can
at the
walk
outdoor
onto
facility at McGarry's.
Right.
Yeah, so it.
You can walk off of
seems double
19 and
standard.
walk right into the back, you can walk onto the front sidewalk, you can walk right, you're still putting tables out on the front
Yep.
sidewalk out in front.
And I visually like the plans. Like, I think
I
the
do
landscaping
too.
would be a nice visual.
And I think it's a good compromise, you know, put the fence on the north, block the cars, put the shrubs. I think we'd be doing a disservice if we send it back to planning. I mean, they had their opportunity. We have a business owner trying to enhance the community, and we're tied up for at least another month, if not more. I don't think it's that detrimental unless I'm
To
missing
take
something.
the fence requirement out. I don't want to be a nanny state over, it's been compliant with the law.
It follows all of our ordinances.
Could- Could we just add maybe 3 to 4?
yeah, that's what
junipers
I'm
along that
thinking,
line?
or.
As a
or,
compromise.
And then we'll just tighten it up to about a
Put 'em-
4-foot space.
and then as they grow, if you need to remove a couple.
Right, and I don't know, so
5
I don't
years
know
down.
the different varieties or whatever, so I don't know if there's something that you can plant that is about at the width that it will
Right.
get to, and maybe it just grows more up rather than out.
These
I
are
don't know
definitely an
that.
upright, so Skyrocket's definitely an upright juniper. We could go a little bit tighter on spacing and probably accomplish without you adding very many. I mean,
Right.
I do think it's.
I think that
Well, I
feels
would
like a
rather
good
do that than
compromise.
fence the whole thing in,
Yeah.
because that's a lot of feet
And then
of
we can keep
fence.
the process moving, we're not fencing at all,
And
and we're
we gotta adjust
compromising.
this corner anyway, so you might already have one, because we gotta slide that all down anyway and angle that like that, so. Might even be less add than we think, It might be 3.
Right.
Clarissa, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, because I was kind of on board with the fence idea, from a children's standpoint. The berm creates this sort of alluring ride for kids to run up and down, but there's a really nice space between where the hill will be and the sidewalk, plus the median there, and there's plenty of room to the south between the sidewalk and
Yeah,
the
this
driveway,
has
so,
no-
yeah.
All right, so I think in general, our consensus is we're okay without the fence in the north, but please add some more, and we'll trust
Right.
staff to work that out with you.
And that
Amber,
ours,
and-
that's our intent. I mean,
Yeah.
we want kind of a hedge thing. where-
And then I would also like to address an issue that you brought up that I had planned to bring up regarding this being tied to the building owner. I completely agree. I think we're holding a business owner hostage for something they have absolutely no control over. I mean, you're renting from the building owner. You can't control what that owner is going to do. So I personally am not comfortable with that language in there. If there's something else, if we need to look at from a different angle to go direct it more towards the building owner directly, I'm fine with that, but I feel like there's two different things when you're a renter versus an owner. I don't know what others' thoughts are.
I think the planning, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure the planning commission just followed the fact that it was in the original conditional use permit, correct?
Yes.
That landscaping on Gateway Boulevard be completed. What is it, by the way? Just the islands and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, there's 2 islands in front, and then there was 2 kind of little cutouts along the building frontage. And then there are more islands down the way, but, when we had originally looked at this, it doesn't matter who comes in with the application. If we require landscaping for parking lots and things, and the parking lots associated with the use, then that's when we said it's gotta be updated to meet the code. So that was the requirement. Now, we had also worked with the owner of the Gateway on the whole strip because we were putting in Gateway Boulevard. There's between Elam or Cassia and the owner of this center, there was kind of, there wasn't a clear line as to who was gonna do what where. So Cassia drew it, and then they said, but we're only going up to here. So it hasn't gotten in. I know we've gotten questions about why it hasn't gone in.
Yeah. When was the last time staff has reached out to the property owner regarding this?
I bet you my correspondence goes back almost a year.
So I think it might be a good idea, time either to make a phone call or probably do a letter or an email so it's in writing, just reminding them of the conditional use and what they agreed to and that it needs to happen, and maybe we need to give a deadline.
Can that happen? Did you say that the conditional use is, the conditional use is the owner or the applicant's conditional use?
Well, it's the applicant's conditional use, although it runs with the land, so,
So
it
then,
benefits the
so
owner.
that it goes back to the,
Correct.
okay.
So I'm a little confused. The conditional use, so was this landscaping tied to for the brewery or for
Yes.
the
Yeah, for the-
Gateway
No, it
project?
was-
Because it's my understanding, this parking lot this was all part of the Cassia thing.
It was, but then
I mean, this road and the parking lot and all that was like, it was like before my time when and I thought this was all tied to the Cassia project, not mine.
It was, but then the landscaping of those spaces, especially this space right in front, was tied to the conditional. It was, and I'm not sure exactly how or what that conversation looked like, but there was a condition in your conditional use, the brew pub, that required the landscaping of the parking area.
So my architect submitted that?
No, they were supposed to submit a revised plan. That was the condition, was that they would submit a revised plan for this area in front.
So
no, it
that's
never
kind of
was.
new to me, and I can't believe we would do that because that's not even, it was my understanding is that road is the city's. And the parking lot and whatever, that's not even part of our lease. I can't believe we would have agreed to that.
It sounds like we may have to have some further discussion with the owners
It's up
and the
to council, yeah,
landowners.
as to how you, if you'd want to untie that and require, staff to go after the business owner to complete the landscaping that was proposed as a
That
part of the
already
whole Cassia.
exists
but-
in the conditional use that's on
It
that
does.
property right now.
Correct, yep. But we can amend that, so if you were to amend that condition and take it out, you could take it out of the original conditional use.
But if
permit.
you amend it and take it out, do we lose any ability to go after the landowner to finish the landscaping on Gateway?
I mean, it gets murky, right? It's tied together because the landowner's lease is only good with his tenant if his tenant can operate under the conditional use, right? So if you take it out of the conditional use permit, yeah, it's not, I don't know what vehicle you'd have other than you guys approve the Gateway project as a whole, and we're not sure who was required to do the landscaping between Cassia and Villamille.
And what did it entail?
There's a couple of trees in these islands, is what it is.
Mark, in the original conditional use permit for the facility and the parking lot, was the landscaping in that conditional use permit?
Yeah.
And that's a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Because if it is, we can enforce it at that level.
Correct.
Perhaps some research to let us know where that was.
Yeah, I mean, I can pull up the Elam.
Because you just made a comment that
Resolution.
as this parking lot put in, you heard that between Cassia and the landowner, that they were gonna stop their landscaping, I'm guessing at the parking lot.
Right.
Well,
Well-
I can't believe that, our conditional use would have been tied to like 4 islands that are, 2 blocks down from me. And then I would have to landscape those? I mean, I could see if it like that one island and then, the little park next to the 2 parking stalls, because that's right in front of my place, but
Yeah, and, at the time all this was going on, there's 3 projects going. There was this project, there was Villamille doing his parking lot, and there was the Gateway project, and they were all happening simultaneously. The site plans got kind of pulled together. I mean, they were kind of mixed together, so. And they all go hand in hand, right? If you came in with the lease space and the lease space doesn't meet our current ordinance and, however that works out, I don't know that it's the city's, between you, the tenant, and the owner, I don't know whose responsibility. We just have the requirements. We don't differentiate tenant requirements and owner requirements. We say that if you have a restaurant, you gotta have so many parking spaces and that has to be landscaped and so, but the council certainly can prescribe it to go, for us to go back and look at, can we work with Villamills to get the landscaping installed in Gateway? I mean, that is a right-of-way now. So, it's the city's property.
The islands are the city property as well?
The islands that we're talking about landscaping are on in the city's boulevard.
Then I don't think we have much to stand on.
Well, except for that, we regulate the addition of landscaping for other properties
Yeah,
that
I
are
mean, we
in the right
regulate our
of way.
right-of-way, right? So if a developer comes in and plants or builds new houses, they have to put trees in the boulevard and, I mean, that is typical, right? So just because the city owns it doesn't mean you don't have the ability to enforce your ordinance. Your ordinance on landscaping required, space, islands or whatever, but, yeah, I mean, I don't know if the council has planning commission had remembered that condition and said we should enforce it, and it hasn't been done, so let's make sure it gets done.
Which, while I agree with that, I don't think it's the responsibility of the business owner.
The property owner is the co-applicant on a CUP though, right? I mean,
Correct.
so you're, So it's tied to Todd's business, but it's not necessarily
Oh, was that the signature I couldn't read?
probably.
Yeah.
So it would be,
Mine?
it's essentially.
Well, I could read yours.
It's Phil Mill, yeah.
It's a co-application, so.
That makes more sense.
Right, yeah, if I'm, right, on the
So
application.
that's
you
why
have to have
that
the
would be
owner,
in there.
And if I'm leasing, then it's, yeah, 2 people, I guess, on it.
So that's why it's in there, because he's signing as well.
So we're not saying you have to pay for it, we're saying if you want this, we have to convince Phil Mill. How many trees